Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and yet again, like I promised, I have episode 4 for you of Titans. Now let's get into it. So the beginning of this episode, we get introduced to Beast Boy, which I'm happy with. They didn't go over the top. They give you a little bit of his backstory, but not enough. I mean, essentially we know where most of these characters come from already, so it's kind of nice for them to just kind of give us a little, snippet and then right into, obviously we know who he is. We also find out that he happens to be the boy from the roller skating rink in the previous episode. One thing so far in this series that I've noticed is, like I said, I believe 2 episodes ago, that is this show is kind of constantly beating on Dick. Everybody's kind of, I don't want to say bringing him down, but everybody kind of doesn't give him like the benefit of the doubt on certain things. And it's really nice to see, these people are kind of prejudging him, but the fact of the matter is they don't know anything about his past, and neither do we. So, I mean, he essentially could be like the most scarred person out of all of them. But like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that later down in the episodes, but I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so Raven and Beast Boy, at this point, you can tell they have a connection, but one thing I noticed that it seems like they're doing with this show so far is that, instead of it being Teen Titans, it's Titans, because Raven and Beast Boy are essentially the only teenagers. At this point, you can assume that, let's say, Robin was adopted when he was about, 12 maybe. Well, that happened 15 years ago, so you can kind of assume that Starfire and Robin are the older ones, maybe in their like mid-20s, early 30s, somewhere around there. So it's really nice because then you can kind of have a dynamic where it definitely seems like they're trying to reach out to the younger generation, but not where they're like overdoing it. So it's kind of a nice touch to have that dynamic of 2 older characters kind of guiding them along in their journey so far. One other part I thought was funny is that in one of the scenes, they kind of laugh at the fact that Beast Boy has green hair, and that's why I'm glad that they did, because they kind of made it a little bit more self-aware, like, yeah, Beast Boy's supposed to be all green, but we're not going to murder it with the CGI, and we're going to have it held back where it's just the green hair, and I like that. I like that they are showing restraint in this show. Like I was saying in the other episode, this one and the one before definitely seem like team building episodes where not entirely a lot happens. I mean, enough to progress where we're, going to be going into the next time. But they're taking the time to build these relationships and backstories with these characters. And one thing I noticed that so far in this show, from what we could tell and what they've told us, all the Titans are orphans, basically. All their parents have been killed. The only ones we don't know about are Starfire's as of right now, but we don't even know what the hell's going on with her, period. And one thing I noticed in the last couple episodes is Raven always seems to be. Then we get an introduction into the Doom Patrol, which is also an awesome part in this episode. Robin really loses his shit again in this episode. And one thing that was nice was, he's kind of senselessly beating up this guy, and you don't really feel any kind of way about it, but then Starfire sees off in the distance that Dick is actually beating the crap out of this guy in front of his son, I believe. And, the guy kind of starts crying afterwards, and you really feel bad for this guy. And he was a dick in an earlier scene in the show. So for them to be able to make you feel sympathy for a guy who was, a dick earlier in the episode and then kind of give you a different dimension, I personally loved. And that's why I like this show, is they are giving us little tastes of like the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between. They're giving us everything, but just in little pieces. Okay, and so all the characters in the Doom Patrol, I don't want to get too far into them because we don't get a whole lot, but you could tell that they were all either close to death or should have died, and they were saved, and you kind of get the implication it seems like they were saved like against their will, like they necessarily might have wanted to die, or they didn't want the life that they have now. But that's great because then it shows real versatility where you can interchange characters and make you feel something for them. And the big thing with the Doom Patrol is they show their vulnerability, which the other characters haven't. You've seen that they're broken and fragmented, but you haven't necessarily seen their vulnerability. So it's really nice to get that, and you really do feel something for these characters, and you want to know more about their backstory. But unfortunately, so far, I think this is the only appearance we have of them in the show so far. Then towards the end of this episode, we get really awesome Raven CGI. Finally, we kind of get a glimpse into what her powers are going to be looking like. And like I said, besides this, ridiculous part that happened in the last episode with the CGI, other than that, everything else has been great for the CGI, and I'm looking forward to it. I just hope they kind of learn as they go and they don't try to do what they did before. At the end of the episode, this is what happened. Robin saves Raven, Beast Boy leaves with the Titans, and Raven re-paralyzed the man who just learned how to walk, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you guys. Please leave stuff in the comments, like and subscribe. So far, I'm having a lot of fun making these. I'm really glad I decided to pick this show to start, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time, which seems like every Tuesday and Wednesday is when I'm going to be uploading. So next Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be caught up with the show and have episodes 5 and 6